Hi, this is Kevin Thomas. Welcome back to the At Home Film Festival. We're in a new year, so let's start thinking of the Oscars, one of my favorite things to think about. It's quite a different year. They made a few changes, so I just wanted to share those with you before I give you some movies you should watch. So first of all, the eligibility period usually ends on December 31st. Now it goes to the end of February. Also, you had to previously play in an LA or New York theater for 1 week to qualify for an Oscar, but we haven't been able to go to the theater, so they amended the rules that if you were supposed to have played in the theater, but instead debuted on a streaming device, you're eligible. That kind of tricked me a little bit because I love this movie, Uncle Frank, thought it'd be up for Best Actor, but then it was showed at Sundance, and then it was going right to Amazon, but not to the theater. So it will be up for Emmy Awards. You following all this? But in the meantime, the Oscars are fun. I actually follow a website, a couple. One is Variety and one is goldderby.com. This way I can keep up with who's leaders to get nominated and who, when nominated, who could possibly win. It's just like a horse race, it's a derby. So all the people at the Gold Derby are either critics or film experts, and they handicap the Oscars as we go along. Sometimes they start out strong, but based upon buzz or the type of movie it is, or if they think the audience is gonna love it, and then sometimes it opens and tanks. Last year, for example, The Goldfinch, based upon a Pulitzer Prize winning novel, was heavily touted to be up for Best Picture and many other Oscars. It opened and completely bombed. It cost $45 million, and it's an entire run and only made $9 million. So as time went by, that movie lost favor with the Gold Derby, just like what I remember a few years ago, Billy's Long Halftime Walk Home or something like that. That was directed by Ang Lee. It was supposed to get Steve Martin an Oscar nomination, which he's never had one. That movie was not as good as they thought. So the experts changed their minds. The race goes on all the time. Maybe you're in first place 1 week, then you're in third, then you're in fifth. A lot of it depends on when the movie's opened, after the critics finally get to review it, and what audience thinks of it is part of the handicapping of the Oscar, and of course all those critics awards. Those really are the final way to help push a movie to get Oscar nominated or Golden Globe nominated. So this week, I'm gonna look at 7 movies that you could watch at home for free, as long as you have the streaming device that they're associated with. So let's take a look at 7 movies that I'm hoping could get some Oscar nominations. I'm not gonna look at some of the ones we're expecting, like Nomadland, which might lead to the second woman to win an Oscar for Best Director and the first woman who's not white to win Best Director. What do you think of that? You don't need my help to know this because it's all a buzz. Just like Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is all a buzz and The Trial of the Chicago 7. So I'm gonna try to find other movies that may have fallen off the radar and need to be put back on path, so hopefully they get Oscar nominated. Okay, Hillbilly Elegy is just one of those movies that has lost favor. So I'm trying to minimally get there. Glenn Close, an Oscar nomination. Before this came out, it was really touted. It was gonna be Glenn's Oscar, Amy Adams' Oscar. They both have been nominated many times and neither one of them won. But critics didn't really like it much and audiences liked it even less. But I really enjoyed it. So did a bunch of people in my film-going community. So I'm saying let us really try to get Glenn Close her 8th Oscar nomination. Her 8th! She's never won. This is the perfect type of character. She doesn't look like herself. She's a tough person with really a heart of gold. She makes changes in a family. She's very supportive of all the people. So this should at least get Glenn her Oscar another nomination, if not a win. Now, Glenn also was once leading, and now she's hanging on to 5th place. The co-star from Borat, she is just about ready to steal the 5th place. So remember Glenn, and you can watch this for free on Netflix. Everybody's got Netflix, so you don't need to go spend money on it. Watch it for free on Netflix and vote with me for Glenn Close, Best Supporting Actress. As long as you're on Netflix, why don't you also watch The Life Ahead with Sophia Loren? She has not been in a movie for a decade. This is a great story. It actually is a remake of a movie called Madame Rosa, which was French. Now it's an Italian version. So Sophia plays an ex-hooker, so obviously she's in her later years. So instead of being a hooker, she takes in children of other hookers or people that are on drugs, almost like a halfway house. A lot of these kids are troubled. They need to protect their heart by anger and fighting. Well, she meets her Mark and this young man, Ibrahim, guy, who's really compelling too. They develop a great relationship like a mother and son, which I quite frankly think, since her son Eduardo Ponti co-wrote and directed this, is sort of a love letter he wanted to do for his mother. So the two of them work together, really heartwarming. Sophia is luminous as an actress and as a beauty. This should be watched, even if it doesn't get Oscar nominated. She's off the top 5 right now, but a little push could get her back. So let us remember Sophia Loren. And once again, this is on Netflix and it's free. No reason you shouldn't watch it. And by the way, Diane Warren wrote a beautiful song on this. She is like the Susan Lucci of songwriting. I think she's been nominated over 13 times and never won. The song is so beautiful. Like, the whole movie is. So watch it, The Life Ahead. Okay, if it wasn't for critics' prizes and that I could watch it for free on Amazon, I might have missed The Sound of Metal. Riz Ahmed, who's won an Emmy Award and been nominated before, is a great actor that this movie title just didn't win me over, but he plays a drummer in a rock band that loses his hearing. Of course, nobody wants that. So he goes to a place to help him try to get it back, but in the meantime, to learn sign language. He is so amazing. He is in the running to be up for Best Actor, but we need to keep him on the list because this is an amazing performance, and he's matched by Paul Raci as the guy who runs the place he goes to learn sign language. And I also want to point out, Riz really dug deep for this role because he put stuff in his ears so he can't hear really, so he's experiencing what the character is. And many times, we too are experiencing this. Sure, you see subtitles, but he learned sign language, and we sometimes feel left out because subtitles aren't always on screen. But that makes it part of the greatness of this film. It's not just for him and Paul. It's a wonderful movie from start to finish. Everybody involved. This movie must be watched, and it's on Amazon. So you watch it if you've got Amazon Prime because it won't cost you an additional penny. Let's watch it. Go! Now, HBO has been getting a lot of premiere movies. So everybody should be getting HBO right now. HBO Max, actually. So this movie, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Often, takes place in a 48-hour period with a young woman who is very discarded at home. You could tell that her father or stepfather likes the dog even better than her. She's 16 years old. She gets pregnant. She doesn't want to tell anybody, so she goes to New York to take care of it. But it takes a 2-day event, so she doesn't have money to stay at a hotel. Her cousin goes with her. This Sydney Flanagan, who plays this part's already getting a lot of buzz for a nomination, but it's a smaller film, so it needs a lot of help. The writer's also amazing, who directed it, but she possibly could be up for Best Screenplay. But I actually bit my fingers the whole time in this 48-hour period, hoping these girls don't get in further trouble than getting pregnant because they're alone in New York with no money, no food, no place to stay, and they have to stay there 2 days for a procedure. So, oh my gosh. So this movie had a lot of buzz and it's kind of died down. So I'm trying to get the buzz back. Bill Murray was once a front runner to be up for supporting actor and even maybe win. His only other nomination came from a movie with Sofia Coppola, and guess what? She directed this too. He plays the father of a daughter who he is like the anti-mame of men. He has a great fun lifestyle. He takes no prisoners. He helps his daughter, who's a little tightly wound, to relax a bit while they go on an adventure to try to find out if her husband's cheating. It's really funny, inventive. It's on Apple Plus. So if you've got that, you already could watch it for free. So keep watching, okay? Thank you. So you probably wonder why a big budget Ben Affleck movie would be on the list, because I'm always trying to find undiscovered films. But this movie falls into what happens a lot in the Oscars. It came out early in the year and gets forgotten. There are so many great Best Actor contenders this year, and I think Ben Affleck needs to be considered for The Way Back. It's the perfect type of Oscar movie. He plays a high school hero that everybody loved, but decades later, he's just a drunk that can't cope with life. At the same time, they asked him to come be the coach. So here we have a drunk coach going back to the school where he was once famous. This movie came out the week of the pandemic, so it made a lot of money that one week, and then it went to pay-per-view, view on demand, but now it's on HBO. So Ben Affleck has shown he could produce and direct and even won an Oscar for producing and writing. But this is one that I think that really shows his acting chops. So let's support that. And minimally, let's remember Ben Affleck from a movie that came out in March, right? Even earlier than March, The Invisible Man came out. Oh my God, Elizabeth Moss needs to be nominated for an Oscar. She was in two great movies this year, actually great performances, this and Shirley. Critics like Shirley better, but I think that she did so much more work acting alone on screen against the Invisible Man. This is super suspenseful. Horror movies often get ignored, so this time we need to remember this movie. I bit my fingers through the whole thing. Elizabeth is amazing in this movie. You could watch it for free on HBO, but let's not forget this film. Both of her performances on that Gold Derby, she's both in the top 20 for both of her films. So she could lose votes to the other film and get canceled out, or she could get canceled out simply because the movie is really old or people thought, oh, I've already seen that. They might even think it's last year, but it's not. It's a 2020 film that Elizabeth Moss carries on her shoulders. She does have a great supporting team, but her acting, she seems alone a lot, and yet she proves that there's a ghost there. Actually not a ghost, an invisible man. Now that's really good acting when you're sitting alone and all of a sudden there's an invisible man and you're acting against him when technically she's alone as an actress. Do not forget The Invisible Man, HBO. Don't forget any of these movies. They're all completely free to watch if you subscribe to those services. I will have more Oscar ones in the future, but in the meantime, I hope you enjoy. I would love comments below. Maybe give me some other movies that came out this year that need to be considered for Oscars. In the meantime, I can't wait to see you next week. And if I'm not here, I'm an invisible man.